everyone, and welcome to the Awaken Together podcast. I'm Jen.
And I'm Kat.
And today's episode is going to be talking about spirit guides. We are going to go into our own personal kind of experience and journey with accessing our guides, what it kind of means to tune in with your spirit guides, and then end the episode with a guided meditation so that you can meet your own guides. And before we dive in, Kat, we have not had an episode together in a long time. We've been bringing on these incredible guests. I love that me and Kat kind of divvy up the guest episodes because I get to kind of learn from our own podcast, which is always fun. And we've had some really amazing people. So
I know, I feel the same way. It's so fun to listen to your episodes and just like on walks, just like the familiarity, but also like the newness. It's so sweet. I love it. Yeah, we've had some amazing guests. So shout out to our guests. We've learned about tarot, intuitive eating, pregnancy and birth as a portal, astrology in a funny sense, sound healing, and lots more this season. So thank you all for being along with us on this journey.
Yeah, and for today's episode, we have kind of done some layers of spirit guide talks throughout the episode, but we wanted to kind of fine tune in on it. So I can share first kind of my personal journey because the idea of spirit guides like scared the shit out of me. And when I was starting my spiritual journey, I spent it took so long to get into the acceptance of tuning into guides and higher beings, and that scared me. I was so scared of evil because of all of the layers of religion trauma that I had to heal. And so I really tried to tiptoe around it. It kept coming into my path more and more. And I really think probably the biggest catalyst was actually starting to do energy work and Reiki training and becoming a Reiki master. So much when you enter into the energy world ends up landing you kind of on the other side. You get way closer interactions with your clients, either spirit animals, guides, ancestors, and so much of that came and just realizing that I have so much more control and safety than what I was anticipating. And yeah, just another layer of this. I can definitely share some personal guide stories, but it's also been kind of wild and I was resistant to it. But it was also a little seed that working at the nursing home and just being in healthcare since the age of 15, now 31. And I've been around a lot of death. And when you are at that end point of people's lives, they really start to see their family members. They start to have these really, the veil is so thin and they're bouncing between it. And I witnessed some pretty wild stuff at the nursing home too, but also it was all still very scary to me. But it definitely was this is a thing happening. I don't know how much I want to lean into it, but I definitely had so many experiences being right there when people passed on and having pretty crazy visuals, what I heard, felt, sensed. So yeah, a little intro for you, and we can talk about some of our personal guides too.
Yeah, I think for me, Reiki was definitely a catalyst for experiencing spirit guides, understanding them. I think in the past I was like, oh, angel numbers, that's cool. But I didn't really understand what angel numbers were there for. And now I have this better understanding of okay, that's a method of communication for a lot of spirit guides, is seeing numbers, seeing signs, asking for signs. And it's all in developing that relationship with your guides that you begin to see these things and have a deeper understanding of what they can mean and what kind of impact they can have in your life. And really for me, spirit guides, it's all encapsulated in this essence of we're not truly alone here. We have divine guidance, and when life ends, for our ancestors, for really anyone, that's not just the end. That's not the end of giving support. We're always in receiving mode, when we want to be, when we have our walls down and would like to be receiving. And so yeah, for me, ancestors have been that most direct way and my first initial understanding of my guides.
Yeah, and you got that powerful ancestral lineage too
Oh, yeah.
behind in the family. Yeah, I think for me, this has definitely evolved and shapeshift over time, but I really believe that you'll have some guides that are here for most of your lifetime. And then there's definitely guides that'll come in just for certain things that you're working and moving through. And in Reiki, even, I will ask for a specialist to come through for certain things that I'm feeling and sensing for people at times. And that's been really powerful to explore as well. I also so see like we've talked soul contracts and soul family, and I do think there's been such a beauty to the people I've attracted as being kind of like a guide here on earth, even at times. But as far as like zooming out and tuning in, I definitely have had clear names come through at times, and I'll just do a check in kind of periodically. Like, I like to use my pendulum as kind of my main resource of asking, do I have 5 or more guides personally working with me? Yes or no? And then just like work my way down and find that sweet spot and then spend time. Can one guide step forward and just meditating on what it feels like in my body when I am like asking for certain guides to come through? And as I've shared in the podcast, Kat is way more kind of clairvoyant and often sees stuff. For me, it's always really clear feeling and sensing. So I have to kind of navigate this energetic blueprint of like what the guide is feeling like, and then what those feelings kind of in me like mean for me and what they like, yeah, have been showing me or how it's coming up, or when I'm feeling a similar feeling, knowing that that's kind of a little message system from the guides that I have. And like Kat said, like there's just a constant communication system depending on how much you want to tune in or tune out from that. But I do think when you tune in, you'll realize so much more that you are not alone and that there is so many signals of communication that can be given to you of clarity, and also just like a deeper sense of trust and knowing, which I think we can way over personalize so much stuff so easily. And this layer of having that trust and higher guidance kind of dismembers a lot of that kind of ego, overly clinging, overly attaching, overly fearing mindset that can come when we're not tuning into that higher guidance.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you said, there's so many different ways to pay attention and to receive this information, and it'll be very dependent for every person and what senses you're more attuned to and what comes to you more naturally. So for you, Jen, it's super interesting because the way that I understand you decipher between guides
Mm-hmm.
is like how they make you feel in your
Mm-hmm.
body,
Yeah.
which to me, it's like that sounds hard. That sounds
Mm-hmm.
like it must be extra complicated.
It's crazy. So I'll get like a certain type of tingling across my shoulders or a weight on my shoulders that's like more steady and grounded with some. And I'm like, oh, this one's here to help me embody and feel powerful. Or I'll tune into another one and it'll feel very light and playful and fun. And I'm like, okay, that is the embodiment feeling blueprint of like, yeah, letting go or being more at ease or more playful or childish. And then when that feeling hits me throughout life, I'm like, oh, okay, I recognize this because I've carved that out. So it might sound more complicated. It's definitely the communication system that always comes through. And I think it's beautiful because I do have to sit down longer and pay more attention, but it's really cool to kind of learn to speak the language. And it's definitely fine tuned, so much more clear through the years of kind of working with my strongest psychic sense. But just to let you know, there's no judgment behind the way it comes in. And for you, Kat, you've had some wild
Exactly.
ones too.
Yeah, for sure. It's building a relationship. And I love that you said that. Like it just gets stronger with time. And
Hmm.
the deeper your relationships get with these guides that come and go and experiencing new ones, it's all part of the beautiful interwoven story. So yeah, for me, it's a different experience. I don't get many feels in my body. For me, it's sight comes first, the clairvoyance. And so I will like go into states of meditation and kind of ease into the process and see who I'm met with. Like I'll see how many kind of figures are either sitting on a bench or coming into a garden meditation or sitting around a fire with me, depending on the style of meditation that I approach each spirit guide connection meditation with. And yeah, I'll kind of like see the outline of figures, and that to me will tell me how many I'm working with then, or how many are coming through at that time. And then from there, I'll kind of focus in on each figure and be shown like a vision or a name. I'll ask for a name, and oftentimes I'll be given a name. Not always, though. It's kind of funny. You kind of receive what they're willing to give and offer at that time. And they are going to be ready to be questioned by you. Like they're going to be kind of anticipating little tests of like, are you here for my greatest good? And if they're not, like if this being coming to you, isn't there to give you messages that are there to support your highest good, then they're not actually a guide. And so there's some different layers of protection that we'll get to in a little bit, to help decipher like what beings you're coming into contact with when you're stepping into this spiritual realm. But my first recognition, my earliest like experience with guides was when I was a kid. It was my cat. It was my cat, Jenn.
I love it. I've come back around.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, who would have thought I would name my freaking childhood cat Jennifer? Like, who does that? Foreshadowing. You're my
so
little
good.
pet.
I will be pet.
Meow.
I love it so much.
I know, so good. But yeah, I was convinced that she was the spirit of my grandmother who passed before I met her, who I'm named after. And she just had this like super gentle, wise energy, and like very similar, was so comforting, and just how I imagined that grandmother to be with everything I learned about her. So I developed this relationship with my cat that was like my grandmother. It was sweet and funny and weird and so special.
I love that. Yeah, I think for me, I had a patient that felt like so special. I worked with her for 3 years. She was 99, and we were just intuitively really close from the very beginning, and we had these beautiful deep talks. I used to hang out with her on my days off, and we got super close. I was there the day she passed away, and she asked to speak to just me, and she said, I don't know how this whole system works, but I'm going to figure out how to look over you from the other side and take care of you. And we had this really beautiful goodbye. And she said she'd always come in as a little wiggle. It was the cutest thing. And so there's been so many little moments of just knowing like her spirit has been being able to oversee so much. And the name Vi has come up in my life in like such cool ways, like along as like a journey. And yeah, I found out she's actually buried here in Colorado, which at the time the service and everything was in Florida. I had no idea she was going to be put here.
Whoa.
And I did not know that moving here. So she has been this guide in this really cool way. And that's been so beautiful. And yeah, I've had really beautiful experiences tuning into the energy world. I've had people's grandparents come forward, like ancestors. So it's not always necessarily a guide that's, just like a higher being, a higher source of energy. Sometimes it is ancestors, people closest to us. I had someone's grandma come and wrap their hands fully around me. I could feel her hands over mine, her arms over my arms, her head right to my right. And then my friend saw a full vision of her grandma and started crying. And it was a very loving and beautiful experience. They'll come and assist with Reiki. So it's very powerful. And yeah, as Kat said, I mean, if you're getting a very uneasy feeling, I definitely met all of this with an uneasy feeling because of my own personal stuff, but then realizing I had a lot more control to be able to turn this like on and off, and I knew I was actually always very safe. We'll go through kind of the protocol. You have anything else you want to share on personal guide experiences? Yeah.
So I think what's also interesting too with all of that, like you mentioned, Jen, our spirit guides can come across as ancestors. They can come across as light beings. They can come across as spirit animals.
Cat sees animals so good. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really cool, like that nature connection. They can come across as archangels, ascended masters. Like there's countless types of light beings that can be your spirit guides. So I recently did a spirit guide meditation. It's a part of this course that I'm undergoing called the Akashic Journey. I'm learning how to access my Akashic records and build this relationship with the Akashic field. So it's been really, really fun, really enlightening. When I was doing this meditation recently, the spirit animal that came through for me was a raccoon. And this was really funny and weird. And like previously, I've not really had any connections with a raccoon. And so I was like, why is this trash eating feral creature coming through for me? What is this supposed to mean?
It's clearing things out for Cat's brain. A little trash eat.
Yeah, so funny. Oh my God. But I was researching after like what a raccoon spirit guide means. And it was actually really powerful. So I was like, okay, let me rethink this. Just the resilience and the levels of courage and braveness.
They're cute. They're cute.
Yeah, they're sweet. They're rabid, but they're which is, also telling for me.
I love that.
But yeah, just seeing like people, a past retreat attendee for us, Camille, she has asked when her spirit guides are present to show her an owl. And when I was doing Reiki for her back in April at one of the retreats this year, I didn't know this. I didn't know this yet. And I saw an owl come through, like really clearly a white owl. And she told me after when I was sharing this with her. And it was just a really beautiful, like tearful moment of, oh my God, my guides are here. They're here. This is the most clear sign I could have asked for. So try it out. If you're looking for signs, ask your guides to show you things. Because if you don't ask, like, how will you receive? How will you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. So remembering to kind of remove your own judgment. And we have had protection episodes before, but just as little reminder, it's always good to kind of be in a more dropped in state. Obviously, we can feel so much just from our own day, our own life, the world, the people around us. It's good to kind of meet this work with some more intention. And when you do build that relationship, yeah, the little subtleties will happen just in the middle of the busyness of life. But to actually start and go from a beginning point of this work, I think it's really important to clear your space, do maybe some body movement first, something to kind of drop you in a little bit deeper. And yeah, you can sit in a meditative state. You can do headphones on, really tune in. There's tons of visual meditations, and then the one we're going to have for this episode as well to guide you through just calling in the space. But yeah, I like to always drop in for my layer of protection, kind of picture a dome of protection around me. We always use the rose as kind of a symbol for protection. So you can visualize a rose in front of you, on each side, behind you, above and below. Or yeah, just a little dome and kind of color it in. Just some type of visual of an intention setting of this is my space. I'm calling in what serves me the most and what I am needing to hear, and always tune in on what your starting point is. So like I said, if you're not someone that's gonna be able to have this information come through as much as visuals, and it's gonna land more as thoughts or feeling sensations or emotions, it's good to kind of know what your base is, because then you can see what adds to the sensations that you're already feeling as you go into that like workspace.
Yeah, for sure. All such good tips. We know that crystals can be super helpful. Connecting with nature in the violet flame is another really, really world-renowned, I don't know if that's the right term, but like really well used and known protective force. So just imagine this violet flame around you, surrounding you like a moat, protecting your energy, keeping it to you, and know that if any point in these meditations or really any experience with spirit, if you feel unsafe, then, just get out of it. you can always come back into your body, come back into your room, because like if you remember from a past episode where we were talking with Willow, the psychic medium, there are evil spirits out there. There are dark energies and dark forces, and it's up to us to just be in our bodies, know our baseline, know what feels off and when to disengage. So just be aware of that, take deep breaths, be with your breath, and it can be empowering. Just be like, no, that's not mine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just bring it back,
Mm-hmm.
and you release, you cut those ties, and you can always come back into meditation another time to re-engage.
Yeah, I think for me was kind of moving through some of the religion trauma stuff. When you know how to ground into your body, you are ultimately going to be able to hold so much of your power. This isn't some work to be fearful of. You can always call things away. You can always reset. I think the hardest part for ending up in spaces that are heavier is when there's just really no sense of groundedness and you're meeting this work with like very chaotic energy and not really with a clear-cut intention of I need, I'm wanting this to come through for my highest good. I think always meeting any spiritual work with like clear intention is really important. Magic, because our words are magic, our thoughts are magic, and you always want to call in kind of that space just before you start this. I always recommend having a journal close by so that you can just write little things. And yeah, if you want that yes and no, you can use that pendulum, and you can also use your body as a compass for yes and no. We've shared this before too, but just ask, can you show me what a yes is in my body? Can you show me what a no is? Maybe you feel an actual weight shift. Maybe it comes in as a sensation. And then you can go through with each guide. Like, can I have one particular guide at a time step forward? Can there be guide number one? And just take notes on things that come to mind. Maybe it's memories. Maybe it's a visual. Maybe it's a sensation. Maybe it's a hot or cold, a temperature difference. Just noting anything, not really trying to put a lot of thought into it. And then let that work just keep simmering and like carve out maybe, starting off with just doing this work a couple times a week, building that blueprint. And then, I always go back and do periodic check-ins that are deeper and more intentional to know like what's happening for me guide-wise. If I'm kind of stepping into newness, which anytime my life goes into a new chapter, I feel like there's usually kind of new work with the guides to kind of be set, but it feels very natural because I'm needing that clarity anyway, because my life is like a snow globe and gets shooken up, and then I'm realizing I'm on to the next journey, and then crave that higher kind of guidance to feel more grounded in it.
Yeah. So with that essence, do what you need to get grounded right now. And in a few moments, we will just get set up for meditation.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, my friends. Well, wherever you are right now, if you're ready to tap in, I invite you to find a comfortable seat. We'll start with just a couple deep breaths to really transition from our talking mode or listening mode into our meditative space. So together, let's take a deep breath in. Exhale it all out. Again, deep breath in through your nose. Drink it in. Exhale out your mouth. Long, slow exhale. One more time, just like that. Fill up, breathe make sure that we're not letting in any unwanted or mischievous spirits. So imagine wrapping yourself in a cloak of protection. This cloak protects you from all malevolent spirits. Imagine it's coated in steel so that it provides robust protection at all times, reflecting all the rest. And trust that it's enveloping you when you're communicating at spirit level. Now imagine that you're walking in a clearing, surrounded by woods and trees, flowers and animals all around. The sun shines down in your face and you feel entirely safe and protected. You're walking gently with your head tilted up towards the warmth of the sun. Can you feel it on your skin? You look around and you notice that in the distance there's a bench. You look more closely and you discover that there's someone, or even a few beings, sitting on that bench, facing towards you. It becomes clear to you that they are here for you. So check in with yourself now. Do you feel safe? And do you wish to connect with this or these beings? If not, the answer is no. Simply pause this meditation and come back to it another day when you feel more ready. If you feel a yes in your body and your spirit, you'll nod to grant your permission now and continue walking closer towards the bench. You can more clearly make out the images of the light beings in front of you now. How many of them are there? 1, 2, 3, maybe more. What do they look like? You realize that you're in the presence of higher spirit being, guide energy. You ask the first spirit guide, "What is your name?" Maybe you're met with a response and maybe not. What does their energy feel like to you? Notice any emotion or feeling or sensation that you experience as you make contact. It might be a tingling somewhere in your body, it might be an aroma, a scent, or a symbol might even appear in your mind. Just remember this, for this will be the sign of this particular spirit guide. any question that's burning on your mind. And you'll receive an understanding of an answer from that guide. Have you reached a particular turning point in your life and require guidance as to which path to take? Have you reached a point in your career and don't know which way to turn? Are you in a rut and require some guidance as to how to get out of the rut? Do you have some dilemma which is troubling you and which requires a solution? All of these questions can be asked of your spirit guide. Simply ask your question and be with their response now. Once you've received the information, thank your spirit guide for that guidance. Note how they then move back, allowing the second spirit guide to move forward, if there is one. Once again, ask them for their name and continue with asking your questions of them. Recognize their responses so that you can call upon this spirit guide again. Once again, do you have a question for this spirit guide? You can simply say to the spirit guide, what guidance do you have for me today? It can be open-ended. What do I need to know today? Thank your spirit guide. Thank them all. If you have another to connect with, you're welcome to do that as well. If not, thank them collectively and continue along on your peaceful walk. Down the path, among the trees, the flowers, the animals. You turn back and notice how they slowly disappear into the distance until they vanish. Once again, you feel the warmth of the sunlight on your skin, the comfort, the sense of well-being, the peace, the serenity, bringing yourself back into your body. Begin to feel fully aware of all your senses in this present moment. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale it out. Begin to bring some wiggles back into your fingers and your toes. Maybe a little stretch in your body, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes back up. Take back in your surroundings and simply journal on your experience. Maybe you consult the web, consult a friend, consult your inner thoughts, and know that you are so divinely supported, not only by your spirit team, but also by yourself and your community. Thank y'all so much. We hope you enjoyed this meditation, and we'd love to hear what came up for you. So you can find us on Instagram at Awaken Together Podcast. You can shoot Jen and I a message there. It goes directly to us. Otherwise, please follow, like, rate, review this podcast. We so appreciate your support, and we'll see you all again a little bit closer to the new year for our final episode of 2023. Thank you.